Because my nephew once dated a girl who was half German, and with her he did visit Germany and met up with the extended family that they had left back there. So I guess that yearning for roots, because I do know that Indians, whosoever, settle for the third or the fourth generation in the US, still continue to come back to India in search of their roots, to stay connected, be there, and it
Getting
happens.
getting connected to Europe, I would assume in probably half the cases has to do with getting European citizenship, getting the
Uh-huh.
passport that lets you in.
Right, right.
Um,
I get that.
I'm guessing, but I would say probably half people are searching for relatives and half just want. I mean, I would love to be able to live in Spain. That would be awesome.
Okay. So, yeah, thank you for answering that. But my question further to
Yeah, your
that would
question.
be that if you're married to an Asian woman, I heard Anna ask a little while ago that what is it about the Asian woman that you find, what is it unique thing about Asian women that you found in your
I
wife?
I prefer Spanish and Portuguese speaking ones, but I have an Asian one.
I mean, your wife is not here. I'm shocked. I'm shocked she's
She's
not here in this
sleeping. She's
forum.
sleeping in the next room.
Okay, carry on, Yank. I just love your candidness. It's so candid.
Well, she's a person. We've traveled to a lot of places, and we I think we've been to 6 or 8 countries where people just start talking to her. She's like, "Sorry, I'm not Filipina. I can't understand you. English." And they keep talking to her in Tagalog or whatever. Like, "No, I'm not from here." Happened in Mexico. We were in Mexico and somebody was talking to us and they were looking right at her, talking to her. I would answer. They talked to her again. I would answer. She sort of understands. And I don't think they ever realized that she doesn't speak Spanish. She didn't say a word, and I don't think they ever noticed. They just
Yeah.
looked at her and assumed she was Mexican.
Okay. So what's
Happened
Asian
in
about her?
um she's from Malaysia. You should see the food that she eats. She People make fun of her language. I guess her Bahasa is not very good, but um, she's doing very well with her career here, and um, being she was rather Americanized before she ever got to America, from what I can understand. She liked America, so she's brought some of that back to her workplaces here, and
Mm.
people here tend to not be so direct, not be so honest, and she's just like, fuck that shit. This is what is going to happen. There's times I actually hear her on calls at times and she starts swearing at people because she's asked them a question and asked them again and asked them again and gotten kind of pushy and direct and said, you haven't given me an answer. And she will actually start swearing at people. So that's not a very Asian characteristic.
So, in a nutshell, what would you put it as? If you had to put one word to it.
That's being direct, being like, that's an American style way of communicating.
Okay.
Americanized.
She's Americanized. So, but I still don't think we found Anna's answer, but we'll carry on anyway.
Sorry, Anna.
So, so and I'm coming to you, Mark. You're a Londoner, like I, and
Mark
for
already said
me,
he's not looking for love. So good luck with your question on this one too.
Oh, well, you don't go on Facebook to look for love, I personally think. And it happened and Evie would be, I would class Evie as a typical Javanese woman. Her mannerism and tones are very calm and quiet. And actually, it broadcasts me. Before I met Evie, I was kind of loud, not boisterous, but loud, and my actions were. I wasn't. I wasn't an extreme loud person, but since I met Evie, she calmed me my tone down, and that's pure. That's Javanese. I don't think I can't even remember the last time I got angry. And it's actually, even though she's there and I'm here, I just, ever since I've been to Indonesia, to her area, I met her parents, brother, sister. My tone is I don't get angry. Never get angry. I can't remember the last 6 years that I've been angry, upset. It's just, she has a really she's a very calm person.
Yeah.
And she speaks calm, and I don't think I've ever heard her swear or lose anger or get angry. It just broadcasts onto me.
Yeah, she's a yoga teacher, right?
That's
No,
so beautiful.
Should be a yoga teacher.
That's such a beautiful thing, you said, Mark, because yeah, I do believe that when you're spouses, you tend to rub on your qualities, the way you are, because it's almost like a dance, where you follow the steps. It's like, two people in a dance. So if she's calm, automatically it calms you down, and in a way, that's how spouses work.
But actually, before I landed in Indonesia, we were supposed to. She wanted to hire a hotel for me to stay in her area because she didn't think her house was to a standard of a London or an English person or American person. So I said, listen, let's just get there. And actually, it's completely different than London, first of all, Indonesia, especially her town. Her house is old. I fell in love with the house. The people, English language. Klaten. So I walked around the area and no one spoke English. But if you're polite and you smile and you say the basic Indonesian words like Salamat Pagi, good morning, people accept, then that's that. Sometimes it's not the big things in life, it's the small things in life, the most precious and important. So, yeah, I've seen our house, beautiful Javanese house, and met the parents and met the area. And it's like, I think it's the third time I went. I come back to London. Evie, strangers were tapping Evie on her shoulder and saying, "Where's the bully?" And he said, "Oh, that's my husband. He's gone back home. Oh, we miss him." I mean, it's a different. In London, if I meet someone on the street, 5 seconds later, because they're sitting, not unless you're a family member, you're not important to them. But when I went to Indonesia, they were grateful that they met. God, I could be a foreigner, but it could be another person. They're true singular instead of London, they be less so.
Mark, you need to get a headset, dude.
Can you hear me?
You have a fan
Yeah,
blowing
I
on you.
can hear
Your audio works and then it doesn't, and then it works and it doesn't.
Yeah, correct. Right.
Yeah, that's true. And I also want to ask you a question, Mark.
Yes.
Like, you said that you don't remember that you guys have been mad at each other, but I would like to know, like, what's the difference? Like, the differences between your culture and her culture. that make it more interesting, or maybe something that you had to deal with that was like maybe a little bit complicated, culture related?
Well, originally in her town, I couldn't walk out on the street with her after 6 p.m. That's culture. That's nothing to do with religion or cut. That's culture and customs. A non-married couple shouldn't walk the streets after a certain time.
It's a small town.
Huh?
It's a small town.
Yeah, it's a small place. I mean, it's Indonesia is so
Countryside.
small.
Yes.
Yeah, almost. It's rice fields as well.
Yeah, that'd be different in Jakarta, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, if it's big enough that you can drive around for an hour or two and you're still in Klaten, but then on the other hand, if you throw a stone in Evie's house, I bet you a mile down the road they know the story about it. It travels. I mean, the moment I married Evie, everyone in Klaten knew. Didn't know of me, but didn't directly know, but they knew of it because Klaten is like a force field of gossip. Everyone knows everyone's business.
You're describing the entire country of Indonesia, from what I understand. The portions on Borneo aren't as bad. Well, Java's bad for gossip.
Mm.
Wow. Well, that's crazy. I cannot picture it, like not
Yeah.
being able to go out with your, well, in that time, girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I-
interesting. Thank you, Mark.
I heard this years ago that in Malaysia, there's places in Malaysia, if a man and a woman, male and female, doesn't matter age or anything, if they're in a room with a closed door, it's like they're married. Very traditional stuff. That's not the way life is in Kuala Lumpur. My wife is Muslim.
My wife's Christian. Who, me? I'm Christian. No. No. The only thing that made it hard for me, harder, is because of where I'm from. To marry in Indonesia is slightly hard for a British guy to marry. I had to do certain things to marry Evie. Weirdly, I had to get in touch with Jakarta Airport, Jakarta Embassy, before I went to Jakarta. British Embassy, contact them, make appointment, and go and see them before I married Evie, to be allowed to marry Evie in Indonesia. And then they put your hand on your Bible. When I got to the embassy, they told me to put my hand on the Bible or the Quran. In my case, it was the Bible. They told me to say the wedding promise in front of them, and they signed a cert, and they stamped it, and I went to the registrar in Clacton, and they accepted it, and that's how I married. But other than that, nothing else. Originally,
Of course,
I mean,
Anna. Based on procedure.
in Javanese culture, a parent must ask the woman's parents for their hand in marriage. So, but my mum is in Ireland, and she was sick, and my dad is dead. So Evie's friend that is Dutch, that lives in Holland, married a Dutch man. I used her parents as my mum and dad. Therefore,
wow.
solo. So they became my mum and dad, and Evie's friend's dad went over to Evie's dad and asked for her hand in marriage. And we had the engagement, and then at the wedding, he also came to the wedding and became like my dad at the wedding. I couldn't say to Evie's dad, "Can I marry your daughter?" That's not allowed. A parent has to do it, or an elder has to do it. And in real traditional Javanese, I'm supposed to go there with gifts and animals like a goat or a pig, a goat or a cow, and bring it into the hall and meet her parents and give them the gifts. And that's what we did, but we didn't do the animal part. We just gave them gifts.
It's called seserahan.
Huh?
That gift you give to your wife. It's called seserahan. Is that correct?
It's to her parents first at the engagement.
Oh, okay.
Because Tim, well, at the engagement, both people technically supposed to live in the same area. They will build two marquees. So the man's family would go to her marquee, have a party there, give her the ring, and then it reverses. Her family has to go to his area, and then they meet each other on both sides, both areas. Didn't happen in my case though. bit far to have the party.
Similar things in Malaysia. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a wedding. You have the wedding in two parts, 2 weekends, one after the other usually.
Yeah. And
in my case, my wife was very understanding of me not really accepting the religion. I'm not a religious person, so I just left her things alone. She left me alone. And the only real thing that's done to affect our lives when we moved here in Malaysia is we've always been a distance from her family. They can't just come and knock on the door unexpectedly. We know if they're coming. We usually have a half hour before they get here. We usually know for half an hour before that, so we can sort of tidy things up if we need to in the house that they shouldn't be seeing. And the only other real, well, there's a few more, I guess. She did have me register as being a Muslim, and we did register and go to a masjid to get married in Illinois, so that when we got here to Malaysia, that paperwork was easy. If we hadn't done that, life could have been hell. Life could have been really difficult. I I don't like religions. I don't like, I realize I'm a lot more open to churches and church bells because that's what I grew up with than I am to Islamic things. Um, I know from people I've talked to, I like the sound of Arabic, and I don't know, I just like the culture and the people better in Africa who are Muslim than I do here, I think. Um, Maybe that's because I haven't been there. I don't know, but I don't know. I just they actually speak Arabic, where most of the people here that speak Arabic, they don't really speak, right? It's they know enough to read the Quran and whatever. Most people here don't really speak Arabic that well. And I just love when there's times when I'm on a call with somebody, I'm speaking English, and all of a sudden their mom, pops in front of the camera or something, and I hear a conversation in Arabic, and I don't know, I like that. Our wedding, I hated the wedding here. Um, they had a makeup artist person that painted my wife up like 3 times, I think, different things. I'm like, who is this? I don't recognize this person. I it wasn't her. They didn't try to make her look good as herself. They put her into different costumes and like actually painted her face and everything different. I'm like, this is not my wife. That I didn't like. Um, a lot
Well,
of
I
those
think
things,
yeah.
I just survive. I just survive. Hari Raya each year. Don't like it.
What did you just say?
Hari Raya,
What?
Eid, the
Okay.
Muslim.
No.
No me gusta por nada. En serio.
So with me, I had the church wedding, and yes, I think I'm the same as you. It took Evie 8 or 9 hours to get ready.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning. I can remember it because she has an outhouse and she has a house where she sleeps. So I'm not married to her, so I sleep in the outhouse. Yeah, and I was in bed and I woke up and I heard noise outside my door, and this was 8 o'clock in the morning. UK time, that's early, that's morning.
1
And
a.m.
I've opened up the door and there's about 30 people outside my door. And everyone's running around getting the wedding sorted, but I'm sleeping. So I walked out and she's already been in makeup since I think 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning. The makeup artist is there putting gold in her hair, on her head, and painting her skin white. And I'm walking outside with shorts and t-shirt saying, what's happening?
You did wear shorts. That was another thing that I had lived. Let's see. Now I'm getting time frame getting mixed up, but I had been to Singapore and Australia before we came and moved here. So there were definitely things about moving to and getting used to Singapore that I didn't like, and there were things that I didn't like about Australia. So when I got here, I was like, okay, I'm done just being polite and trying everything. I'm done with that. When I want to say no, I'm going to say no. So there's some foods I've never tried. There's some foods I will never try. I had laksa maybe twice, never again in my life. Hate the stuff. But then there's other foods that are just, yeah, there are definitely some foods that are amazing here. But that was one of those things. I'm surprised at how well people accept me walking around with shorts on, even in some, like I go to immigrations with shorts on, and they've never said anything. The US had a war with Iraq. Nobody ever said anything. It was kind of incredible. In some ways, culture is much more accepting here than it is, I'm assuming, your country as well as mine. Depends where you are. Depends where you are.
In London, I've never, even in hot weather, I wouldn't wear shorts. I don't know why. I'm not a short wearing person. Never have. And because in London, there is more rain than sun. So in the summer, it will only be about 35 degrees hottest. And it only lasts a month and a half, maybe sun. The rest of the time, it's like now, cloudy or grey
I was going to ask you, what temperature did you say? And it's here in my, it's in my transcript.
At the moment, it's cold here. It's probably below 10, but it's spring. And I wouldn't. The first time I went to Indonesia, because once you same as you, as well, Tim, you can go from America to where you are without even feeling heat because of the airport. You go through the tunnel, you don't feel heat. You go into the airport, aircon. So with me, I went London to Abu Dhabi, didn't feel no heat. I've never been to a hot country in my life before I went to Evie. My furthest travel in my life was Ireland. So going to Indonesia was like shocking. So I went to Abu Dhabi, didn't feel heat. Abu Dhabi to Jakarta, didn't feel heat. Jakarta to Jakarta, you have to get off the plane on the runway. So I waited until first class went to business class went, and I was walking up towards the door, and it was spring. I can remember it. The heat hit me hard. And I went, "What is this?"
And you're tired.
What was your first? America's hot as well, country, isn't it?
What's that?
America's a hot country.
It depends where you are. America's got everything, more so than the UK does. I live in Wisconsin, so it actually does. It will get up to 35 degrees at least every summer, probably 40. It'll get down to minus 20 actual temperature and minus 40 with wind chill. So every year, basically, it's plus 40 to minus 40. But yeah, anything above 35 is unusual.
-1 is the coldest in London.
Yeah, I laugh when people say it's cold. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, tell me about that. What's the temperature? I had lived in Madrid for a year, and it got to 40 degrees a couple times when I was in Madrid. I was bicycling around the countryside in, I don't know, 35-degree weather. So I've experienced that. We've been to Mexico a few times, and it's damn hot there some days. I definitely have been to hot places before, but being somewhere where there's like no weather, it's like there's no weather here. It's hot. Some days it's sunny, some days it's hotter, some days it's more humid, some days it's raining. But like, look at the temperatures. It doesn't change.
But yes, same as Indonesia. It's either hot, but when it rains, it's. I mean, you can have a heavy rainfall that a Londoner or American would say, "My God, this is hardcore." But then 10 minutes later, you look on the floor and it looks like it hasn't rained. But
there's also more flooding here, I think. There's the flash rains are really heavy.
Yeah. but then an hour later, it looks like it hasn't rained outside.
True.
I mean, a couple of times I've walked down the street in my bare feet. And in London, I don't walk the streets in bare feet, but I know it's going to be cold floor, or in summer, a kind of warm floor. But over there, I'm touching the floor and I have to put my shoes on because it's too hot. I go, nah. I'm walking
And by
the
floor,
streets-
you mean the ground, right? Not the floor is inside a building for me.
Yeah.
You mean the ground or the
ground,
floor?
ground.
Okay.
Yeah. And the ground is boiling, and temperatures.
I can't walk on a beach without having sandals on.
Everyone wears sandals in Indonesia, and I don't wear them in London at all. Zero. Shoes, socks, trousers. Indonesia, t-shirt, shorts, sandals. Definitely no sandals and socks. Any other questions?
Ana, hablas español. ¿Cómo predice español? Okay. Bueno, recibí mi licenciatura en 2 temas, en español y en ordenadores, hace 28 años. ¿Tú cuántos años tienes? 28 years ago, I graduated. Yeah. And I'd studied Spanish and computer science, and my last year of my Spanish degree, I also took 2 semesters of Portuguese, but it was intensive the first semester, and then my professor had me take actually semester 8. So I got 4 years of university Portuguese in 1 year. And I still speak, I didn't speak those languages at all for 25 years. And I just started speaking them again like 3 years ago. So I'm very thankful I can still speak them. De España. De España, sí. Okay. Sí, por favor. Are we connected? I know, Jojo. Here, I'm on WhatsApp.
Hola, señor Tim.
Hola.
Sí, tienes que unirte con nosotros mañana.
Okay. ¿Y tú, Mada, de dónde eres tú?
Yo soy de Indonesia y de hecho mi nombre real no es Mada. Es solo, sí, solo aquí.
Yes. Hi, Mom.
Well, Tim Jang. May I ask you, where do you live in Malaysia? Kuala Lumpur City or where?
I'm actually in Kuala Lumpur. I can see the Petronas Twin Towers right now.
Oh, Kuala Lumpur only. Okay, well, because yeah, I have friend in Malaysia also, in Kota Kinabalu, in Penang, Kelantan. Wow.
I'm sure you won't be able to see this. I don't know how to.
Okay, see.
If I join on my telephone, you might be able to. Let's see.
Where do you stay? I mean, in apartment or what?
I'm in a condo right near one of the malls that's pretty international, and we love the fact we were just looking at other condos, and the one we saw today, it was beautiful, but like there's nothing there, nothing. You can't walk to anything. And here we walk 3 minutes and we're at a mall with an awesome grocery store, 10 restaurants, Starbucks and another espresso place, Subway. They used to have a hardware store. They don't have a hardware store anymore. Yeah, this is pretty nice.
Okay. So yes. Okay, so your wife is Malaysian? Your wife is Malaysian? Your
My
wife?
wife is Malaysian.
Okay. Muslim Malaysian.
Yep.
And you? You change your religion? Or?
On paper, yes.
Oh, okay.
Officially, yeah.
Okay. I know. Okay, I understand. Okay, then when you marry to Muslim Malaysian, I think you have I mean, you have some procedures before marry her.
If we married here, it probably would never have happened because I would have been like too much. We got married near Chicago. And then we registered our marriage here when we got here.
Okay.
We had a wedding. We had a wedding here, but we were married when we had the wedding. Much easier procedure. You should have done that a half hour into the.
Jojo.
It's raining.
Hello? Oh, so sorry for
They're
that.
arranging their headscarves.
She's shy.
She may not have her headscarf ready.
Okay, already, Anna? Sorry, I have to leave. I have to do the meeting. Okay. Bye all.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Nice meeting you, Mark.
Bye, everyone.
How can I send you a message? You've got WhatsApp, right? Take my number. Okay.
No, right.
I will basically have the whole day. My family's going to be here, and when my family's here, my cat and I hang out in this room and hibernate. So I'm available all day.
Tim?
See, and just like the usual in the afternoon. Sí, quizás a las 4
How do you write
de la tarde.